Hello to all, been a bit. Um, as you can see, not my busiest year for gaming. I almost halfway through the year, only a couple months away, and I really haven't done a whole lot in the sense of beating games. And that led me to think, sometimes if you have to recalibrate what's kind of going on in your life, you're not playing this steady stream of games or juggling a bunch of games like I typically have done. Um, you know, Maybe the better thing to do is to kind of switch it up in a different way. And looking at the games that I beat so far this year, scrolling all the way to the bottom here, you can see that in 2026, I beat Mario Galaxy earlier this year, what I had started in late 2025. And then I put a ton of time. I think it wasn't quite a couple hundred hours, but it was pretty. It was not too far off. I think it was like 160 or 150 or something like that on Binding of Isaac, and it was an overwhelming game. I mean, the way that most people play that game, getting basically being able to get all the way to the final boss with every single character. I pretty much just played with Isaac, and how good you have to get to be able to kind of get yourself that point. I mean, it took me a ton of time. So when I had a friend who told me that she had played thousands of hours, I was like, thousands of hours on that game. Um, but that led me to think, okay, maybe this year it's better for me instead of juggling a bunch of games, like a short one here, a long one there. Maybe I want to just play a handful of longer games. Maybe. And that led me to play Breath of the Wild next, which had long been sitting in my backlog and something that um, as a somebody who grew up playing Ocarina of Time, Link's Awakening, they were very formative experiences for me. This is kind of like that albatross that sits out there, sits around your neck, I suppose is the proper phrase. But um, I finally tackled it. I got to be honest, I'm having an amazing time with it. I am immensely enjoying Breath of the Wild, but it's definitely led me to go, okay, well, what do I want to do next? What is the next plan? It's really been a slow year for games. Rad Racer here, I still have set up out in my living room. Am I gonna play it at this point? Like, I don't know. I'm still gonna leave it, but I'm gonna put the month end for June. Uh, Everything is set up out there, and there may be a dedicated like handful of days or like a week where I just really want to tackle it. So I want to leave it on there because I had put some time into it before. I do think I'm going to stick with completing Breath of the Wild this month. I do think that's going to happen. I have beaten three of the four Divine Beasts. I only have one left. I have gotten the Master Sword, so there's not a lot left that I want to do. I do kind of feel like I've got my place in the game and I've immensely enjoyed my time with it, but maybe I am kind of coming to the last handful of things I want to do. But then yesterday I was sitting around thinking, okay, well, what is it that I do want to do? And that led me to highlight a handful of games here. I did pick some shorter games in the mix. My initial intention was to pick some longer games, so that's why I threw in. Well, obviously Breath of the Wild's already clicked on there, but a game like Lost Odyssey, Final Fantasy 16, a couple longer, kind of grindier NES RPGs in Earthbound Beginnings and Final Fantasy, and the Batten Kaitos and Baldur's Gate also being quite long games. And I think there is a lot of value to that. I still think there is I'm a little overly ambitious here in terms of what I want to do. Oh, Pokemon Pearl also will undoubtedly be a long game. I think apart from Blue, I think I've put over 100. No, I didn't put over 100 hours on Y, but almost every other game I put over 100 hours in. So that would be another pretty long one. And then I kind of peppered in some shorter uh, platformers like Mega Man 9, Kirby's Adventure, Ninja Gaiden 2 will be an immensely challenging one that will take up some time. Mixed in with some games that I could play out in the living room that like my wife and I could make some choices on together, like Heavy Rain. And maybe I could wrap up the year by playing like a Mario RPG, something like that. I mean, this is what was kind of banding about in my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these into my 2026 plan. I don't know if this will stick, but I'm going to give it a try. So let me go ahead and highlight the names here. we'll copy them over. And so this is how I build out the plan. Obviously, I think in the past videos I've talked about my plan, or I've gone through my plan at the beginning of the year, and I've really figured everything out from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and I've adjusted accordingly. This year I really went in with no plan. Having played Binding of Isaac, I pretty much knew that I wanted to play Breath of the Wild next, but I didn't really know what would follow. So I'm going to go ahead and... Whoa, that did not do what I expected. Okay. Maybe this is what I should have done. Ah! Okay. Wow, it's like my first time I've ever used spreadsheets. Okay. This is 13 games, so I guess I'll insert 13 columns, or I'll move these down 2 rows. That's not going to give enough space. I'll just go down here for now and then readjust it. All right, so we're going to put in the names here. Okay. So this isn't typically how I do this. I usually go game by game, but I have, I had kind of already decided yesterday that this is what I think I want to play. So I'm going to go with this. Let me... there it is. Take out the fill color, because I had just used those to highlight what I wanted to play. So oftentimes I'll go off of the overall list, and then I might like kind of filter through and highlight them. So now that I have them highlighted, I think that I don't really need to keep them highlighted anymore. I think I usually keep these like that. Okay, so these are not being actively played. And then move the hours short and hours long over. Okay. Hours short and hours long is something that it gives you a range of time for how long you think you might have to, that might take you to beat the game. So that's something, if you've seen some of my prior videos, I've gone into quite in depth. It's really not a perfect system out there to be able to, you know, to be able to determine if this is something that you know you can beat in whatever time frame. It's really up to your own style of how you play games. Like, is this something you're going to be able to do in 15, 20 hours, 80 hours? It's really, you've got to rely on multiple people's experience and do your best to figure it out on your own. So I'm going to go with this. This is just kind of a general length, so it gives me a sense of like the flow of the games I'm playing, if they're longer or shorter. I'd put this as a medium length game, medium. This is long. Oops. Typically anything 20 hours or under, I would classify as a shorter game. So this I would classify as medium. Medium still, medium. This is a longer game. When you get into 50 hours plus, that's why I put this is a short game. I think Kirby's Adventure will be like the one short game. Lost Odyssey, I'm really looking forward to it. I think that would be a really cool one to link up. This would be a long game for sure. Medium, and I'll leave that there. All these at the bottom, these are kind of ones I've dabbled with one of my friends, or with my wife or daughter. So the next thing to do would be to figure out, like, okay, now we're in April, so am I realistically going to start anything soon? I'm going to give Baldur's Gate actually a try pretty soon here. And I tried Morrowind last year. I think I put around 15 or so hours, and I think the barrier to entry for like CRPGs or Western RPGs or whatever you want to call them is quite high. There's there, to me, at least in my experience, and maybe if somebody has a better window or a way to get into it, I'd really like to know, like, uh, you know, how do you kind of resolve the barrier to entry? Because these are very time intensive games. It seems like there's a lot of systems to learn, very complicated. Maybe they're easier than I think, and I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill, and I just don't know them or understand them well. I really thought with Morrowind um, that I just, you get decision paralysis. But I've played enough open world games, that kind of marry the story driven aspect of it. I think of a game like Witcher 3, which I absolutely fell in love with. There is absolutely a very clear main quest to follow, but the world is pretty finite, although it is quite expansive. So, you kind of just stumble upon stuff, or, I think of a game like that as kind of a perfect blend of the kind of open world and also driving the story. I found that Morrowind was a little bit more aimless, but again, I want to go back to it. I didn't put it down forever. It just I was a little bewildered by it. Also, I think another thing is the character creation aspect of it, which is crucial for like D&D games or games that are trying to replicate that kind of pen and paper RPG experience. There's a lot of joy in creating your own character. In a game like Witcher 3, obviously you are Geralt, so it's not, you are following that person's journey. It's not like in these other games where you are going to, do you want to play as a thief, a druid, a bard, whatever? I have no idea. How am I going to experience the game differently? What are the positives? What are the negatives? I really don't know. So anyway, I am actually going to start this month. And I'm going to give it a shot. One older PC game that I played a couple years ago that I really liked was Deus Ex. That has a little bit more of an open structure too, but you can like create your own character. But I really found that to be a quite engrossing game, and you know, it's not quite like a computer RPG, but there are plenty of like customizable aspects to it that I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed it. All right, so if I played this starting out, I can't see me beating something like Baldur's Gate, obviously for the rest of the month. So I try to estimate, based off the length when I might beat it. This summer we are going to have quite a few trips, so I also have to keep that in mind. I don't know that I do have Pokemon Pearl, so that could actually marry quite well. So I'm going to say that I complete this in June. I don't know if that will be the case, but I'll go from there. And I'm going to start this next month, I think, and I can see this being like an off and on again that I complete through to the summer, so I'm going to say August to beat that. I have the Wii hooked up right now, so anything Wii or Wii U is fair game to start. So I might juggle something like Pokemon Pearl. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I think I will try and juggle these like couple longer games, and then maybe I'll start something in like June or July that will pick up as like a secondary game to Pokemon. Okay, so that might actually be a great time to go ahead and get into Kirby. And then maybe I get back to an RPG and I can start that month and then probably complete it. Well, summer's going to be long, so let's say it'll go there. And then I'm going to look at the August to December time frame. And this is where I am probably being too ambitious already, because I can tell I'm converging a lot of longer games all in one. So if I'm going to go longer game, all right, maybe I'm going to go, what do I have here? Lost Odyssey and 16. All right, let's go there. Completed September. It's 16 I know is on the shorter end of a long game. I think it could easily be beaten in the under 80. Sometimes I underestimate. I'll say a game will take me like, I think I put for Binding of Isaac like a max of 80 hours or 60 hours. I mean, I blew way past that, obviously. Breath of the Wild, I have it like a max of 100 just for estimation, and I'm way past that as well. So let's see here. Okay, so that is going to be on the main TV. Okay, so then maybe... Right, let me kind of sort this back through. Okay, so I got 2 games kind of starting. Final Fantasy Kirby Adventure shorter games. Okay, and I think if I have... so if I have the... Okay, Heavy Rain is what I'm looking at. I'm thinking Heavy Rain, I'm going to go into the colder months. And I think if I got the PS3 hooked up, that means I can play Mega Man 9 because that's what I have that on. And yeah, I think I'm going to probably have to... I was a little bit over ambitious on this, so I'm probably going to have to kick a few out. So I know I wanted to do a lot of longer games, and maybe I'll revisit it. I think I'm going to kick Baten Kaitos out for now. I would very much like to get... Yeah, I think I'm going to kick out Ninja Gaiden as well, because I could easily see myself getting quite frustrated with it. All right, end the year. Well, end the year with something great, so we'll put that in the end of the year. Mario RPG, maybe I'll finally do that. I'm not going to go spooky games right now. I'm going to go... So what if this started in October but finished in November? And after I beat 16... And I'll actually delete out Donkey Kong Country Returns, because I want to keep things a little bit more RPG focused this year. So let's see. Okay, so right now, Breath of the Wild. Oh, keeping in mind that I also have to like put some time into Rad Racer. So Breath of the Wild, Baldur's Gate, Pokemon till the end of the summer. Kind of dabble in Final Fantasy Kirby's Adventure throughout the summer. Get that done. Summer ends. Get into 16, Earthbound Beginnings, Lost Odyssey. Get into the latter half of the year, Heavy Rain, Mega Man. Okay, I actually think that's not that bad. That is 12 games. On top of the 2 that I've already beaten, it'll be 14. It's not going to be a banner year, but I think in the end it'll work. And here I am in the middle of April, finally with a plan. As always, I've still put out my thoughts on Backloggery, so you can see backloggery.com/SatanWithSanta. You can see my thoughts on Breath of the Wild. You can see the whole collection here as well. And I'm a big fan of the site, and I've used it for many years, so I always want to shout it out. So anyway, I think that's enough for me for today. Like I said, with these videos, it's typically just me kind of thinking about, what I want to play, whether that to what level that interests you or not. It's really more about how I like to organize these types of planning for what you want to play or what you'd like to do. That may or may not interest you, or maybe I typically like to try and get some tips if there's something that you're trying to plan for yourself, and yeah, maybe it gives you some ideas or some things to look into. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. Been rambling for a bit, so thanks for your time if you took the time to watch the whole video, and take care.